What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
Thank you.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God!
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good whatever time it is here in Korea. It's 3 a.m. and I'm still awake. I bet you're just fine, fast asleep in your city that's better than mine. And the girl in your bed has a fine pedigree, and I'll bet your friends tell you she's better than me. Huh. Sorry, I'm back. No, as you heard, the court is gearing up and in session. We've already heard the judge a coffin. Let's oh, that doesn't help very much now, does it? All right, let's see. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. We are here waiting. The court is shuffling about. The judge is coughing. Day is normal. I already had to mute the judge's cough because she was coughing over my intro. What, Alan? What? Do you have the judge in your basement? I heard a cough. No, she's ensconced in her courtroom. All right, we are here for the penalty phase of this trial. He was found guilty. Brice Rhodes was found guilty of all charges, including the 3 murders, all with intent, the desecration of 2 corpses, and tampering with evidence. So that's where we are today to begin the penalty phase, where the jury will decide what his punishment is. And it's expected that this will wrap up tomorrow. The court's going to probably go for about 4 hours today. She said yesterday, and then tomorrow they'll finish whenever they finish up. Yes, it was the judge, Joe Choi. Wings of Redemption is guilty. No. So how we all doing? It's 3 a.m. here, and you've got me quoting Taylor Swift songs already. That's how my day is. Had a great sleep. So that's again, we're doing Flux. Hey, what's up, Flux? Yeah, it's just got home, did some stuff, slept all night long, and now it's set the alarm for 2:30. Woke up. I am feeling great. Dogs are here. Strawberry's over yonder, waiting for her appearance. Right. And I guess we just kind of sit here and we wait for the court to get underway. They're normally pretty quick, saying hi, bye, Phoebe. Hey, what's up, Phoebe? Hi, bye. Why are you saying bye? Before you say bye, make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Oh, and speaking of which, we have our like and subscribe poll up. Let's not forget our like and subscribe poll. We got 230 people here right now, and only 89 likes. It's like 150 of you haven't done the simplest thing in the universe. Reach down there and smack that like button. It's absolutely free. You literally just have to kind of move your mouse like a quarter of an inch, or if you're on your phone, you just have to go, that's all it takes. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I would deeply appreciate your subscription. And after you've hit the like and subscribe button, make sure you pop on over and take our like and subscribe poll. This is how you personally feel about the verdict. Are you satisfied Not do you agree with it particularly, but just generally, do you have an overall sense of satisfaction? Are you satisfied with the verdict of guilty on all counts? 64% of you so far have said, yep, he had it coming. 28% of you said, it wasn't great, but I can accept it. 3% of you say, I disagree. I think he's innocent. Wow. And 5% of you say, this is a travesty. Ooh, 5% of you think this whole thing is a travesty. I'm squarely in the 29% not great, but I can live with it category. I mean, as a lawyer, I probably tend to be way too way too inclined to A, not trust the state, and B, probably look for more probable cause than normal people do. I'm pretty sure that the majority of people, particularly those on the jury, went, yeah, okay, he clearly killed the first guy. We're totally satisfied of that. And if he killed those guys, based on everything that was presented, based on the testimony of the other guys, it's probably likely he killed the two kids to keep them quiet and torched them in a dumpster. Oh, and speaking of things that are torched in a dumpster, hey, it's the Dragon's Treasure. What's up? The Dragon's Treasure. Since when is murder a crime? Well, since I'm out of the Princess Peach Oolong. I finished my Princess Oolong. That's all. This is the last of it right here. Speaking of which, I need to wheel on over here and get my hot water. Stretch racks. Let me pour water on my Dragon's Treasure tea. Oh, that peach smell just hits you instantly. All right, yeah, so we have the Dragon's Treasure. That's one thing you want to do. Head on over to thedragonstreasure.com and get your tea. Up every month, up to 60 different teas, loose leaf teas. Dragon's Treasure will even tea bag you if you want. Put everything in a tea bag and send them off to you. And let's see. Oh, yeah, the one important thing is do not forget to use code VICES. If you go there and you order your tea and just take a chance on him. Like, you know, if you, I know two people that I've recommended this to that have said, I don't like tea, and I'm just shut up, order the tea and see what you think. And both of them have absolutely loved it. Steph, the Alter Nerd, is one. Now she's even got a tea time segment that she does occasionally on her stream just because of this. She didn't like tea. Said take a chance on it. She took a chance on it. She loves the tea. You guys wouldn't know the other person. But yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Use code VICES. That gives you 10% off your order, which is a triple win. He gets a sale. You get 10% off, and I get the 5% kickback that I can put towards new tea, which I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be ordering new tea because I'm running low on all of my favorites. My candy apple is almost gone. The wintry stuff, my candy cane tea, don't have too much of that left. And I just put the last of the peach princess oolong in this here Legal Vices merch glass. There you go. That's the grifty part of the morning. Go to thedragonstreasure.com. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Unintended grift stream right there. But not for me. Alan kicking us off with the $20 super chat. Here's 20 towards your next tea order, Jeff. Mwah. I order all of my tea on the kickback I get from you guys ordering. So yeah, but thanks. I'll do something with that $20. But yeah, you guys order it, and then my percentage stacks up, and I just convert it to tea. Sort of like the way on F It Friday I convert money to alcohol. Here I convert your sales to my tea, and it's fantastic. There's so many different brands. If you like anime, you like tea. Nicholas Starov and their viewers just joined. We have a Nick Starov raid. What's up? What's up, Nicholas? Nicholas and his folks have raided. Thank you so much for being here. We're just waiting for court to kick off. Legal Vices, do you really live in Korea? I live so much in Korea. You couldn't imagine how much I live in Korea. Yeah, I've been in Korea basically for the past 35 years. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can do this. Yes. Okay. Well, we'll give you a little bit of a Korean preview here. Yeah. This. Ooh, well, hang on here. Let's do this. It is 3 a.m. dark outside there. It's 3:11 dark right outside that window where Strawberry the dog is sitting. So yeah, it's 3:11 a.m. here in dark, cold, 1 degree South Korea. Yes, I really, really do live in South Korea. And sup, Yod? Sup. Sorry, Strawberry. I know who you are. You're my dog. I know your name. Sup, Strawberry. Well, there you go. See, this is what you unlock at the we unlock the achievement here when super chats hit 100. So we're not too we're well on our way. We've got the Aussie bucks. So I guess we're what, like 85 away from unlocking Mr. Doggo Cam there. So yep. We do actually live here. And let's get back. Where'd the court thingy go? Yep. Oh, that's not the right one again, is it? Boop. There we go. Favorite K-dramas? None of them. I just can't. I just can't. Why, Flux? Why don't you sound Asian if you've lived there so wrong? Ramau. Ramau. Oh, it's going to be one of those mornings. And I'm just happy that I think finally my voice is back to 100%. Took about a week, but I think my voice is back where it needs to be. But now it's just been high and tight so long that it's going to take a while to get the bass back. But I think we're totally back. If Rambo says I'm sorry, would it make it all better? Probably not, and we're going to be hearing probably today from a lot of people that will tell us why it doesn't make it all better. Now that he is a convicted murderer, we don't have to say allegedly anymore. Baka -1. Korean movies are good too. Basically Japanese level now. Okay. All right. One thing I forgot to do was groom the stash this morning. We're looking extra Laraxy today. All right. Well, again, we're just kind of waiting here for the court to start. 300 of you are here, just waiting for the judge to do something other than cough and type furiously on her keyboard. 301 and whatever the likes are, 100 and something. 163, so half of you. Get down there. What do you got to do? We're just waiting for the court and waiting for the court and waiting for the court. So hey, now's where you just hit that like button. The amateur iconoclast, do you think or dream in Korean? Yeah, all the time. I don't translate in my brain, like think of something to say in English, then translate it into Korean, then say it. My brain is very much bifurcated. I've got the Korean side of my brain and the English side of my brain, and they actually don't talk to each other very much. That's why I'm kind of shit at interpretation. Like actual real-time interpretation, I'm just useless at. Say a few sentences and then I say a few sentences. I'm okay at, but like I don't convert things in my head. I just, when it's time to speak Korean, I just flip the switch and go to the Korean side of my brain. When it's time to go to English, I flip the switch again and go back to the English side of my brain. So that's kind of how my brain works. Yeah, I think in Korean most of the day, and I dream in Korean quite a bit. How much of your office communication is in Korean versus English? Pretty much all of the spoken Korean is in English. All of the written stuff, probably half. All of my typing, all of the stuff that I send out is in English. But everything that comes in is probably about 50% English, 50% Korean. Nicholas, what's up, brother man? You're here. Thank you for the raid, good sir. I'll send you the link if you want. Let's see. Oh, that reminds me, it's time. It's time to watch It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, Mary. Yeah. Oh, I just sent you the cut and paste. So when it says I'm starting in 10 minutes, Nicholas, I'm actually starting already. Ray, tell them to buy my tea. All right, everybody from Nick, they were here when your tea was being rated. Ozzy Overlord said, hey, he'd been there 30 years, but it's still shocking and awesome watching a white guy from Utah break into fluent Korean. 35, but who's counting? Hayden's a tired man, so we'll see how he feels. Uh-oh. Nicholas isn't joining us. Off to a Christmas dinner with a girlfriend. If you're still on in 3 hours, I can join. That's about where we should be. They're expected to go about 4 hours today, if they start. Because she said they might finish around 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit before. So, okay, well, no Nicholas Starve today. He's not going to grace us with his presence. Oh yeah, by the way, polls seem to be fixed on Android, folks. So again, speaking of our poll, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and take our like and subscribe poll. Well, all right, while we're waiting for the judge to come up here, real quick, I'd be curious to hear from you guys here in chat. What you think was was there a single deciding factor in the jury coming back with the verdict of guilty on all counts, or was it a bunch of little things? What was it for you if you thought he's guilty and the judgment was correct, or if you think that he's completely innocent and he was railroaded? Why? What's the thing that convinced you of that, or didn't convince you of his guilt? For me, like I said, it just kind of naturally followed. I had no question that he killed the first guy. And I guess, I'm not real big on prison snitches, not real big on plea deals, and I utterly hate the fact that cops get to lie to you. You can't lie to them, but they get to lie to you. That's just fundamentally unfair, and I hate it. Taking all those things into consideration, as I said at the beginning, he whacked the first guy. Clearly, it's not too big of a stretch based on Anwan and Jacori's testimony that he likely offed the other two kids to get them from talking. Now, if he'd just been a good little boy and minded his own business during the run-up, during the 6-year run-up to the trial, I don't know how that would have gone. I mean, the jury's not supposed to know about that. But yeah, he just doesn't come across the greatest of guys. So what's your big takeaway from this? It took place in his house. No one else had access. Well, there was apparently 5 people in the house when it happened. There was Jacori, Anwan was there, he was there, and there was this white girl and a dark-skinned dude and a light-skinned dude. So however many people that is. Him, the 2 guys. So 6 people. Had to do 3 a.m. lawyer counting. So yeah, there was actually 6 people in the house when it happened. He's just saying he didn't do it. Well, he didn't say he didn't do it. The defense said nothing. The snitches are likely what did him in. So I tend to agree, especially the second one, Jacori. He didn't want to testify. He was reluctant. And that likely came across as he'd felt threatened. And then once he had to come to Jesus meeting with his lawyer, he started spilling his guts, and I found him very credible. As I said, for me, I think if he's convicted, he's probably the reason, and that's what it was for me. I can't unsee all the pretrial nonsense. Yeah, the jury was not supposed to have seen it or not be affected by it. Yeah, Catpool, exactly. Jacori seemed believable. He did to me. Don't talk to HR or cops, not your friend. Mr. Bailiff there rooting through his bag. his third grade education. He looks like Wings of Redemption. Dang it. Stop that. Thus, he's guilty. Oh, your poll is still messed up. Oh, I don't know. Let me check my phone and see how my poll is. Let me just look down here and see how my poll's doing. My poll, POLL, is what's the poll, sir? Rieger Vices, that's me. Let's see. Take my. Oh, interesting. My poll doesn't show up for me. That's interesting. I've never. Yep. Apparently, I don't get to take my own poll on my own stream. So, whatevs. I just don't know if it's working on mine. The poll is gone. The poll shouldn't be gone. If you've taken the poll and then closed it, it should be gone, but it's still very, very much up and running. Y'all might have to update the app. Yeah, update your YouTube app, folks. Well, again, it worked yesterday. So I think the best way to bring the judge in and have her start the whatchamacallit, the hearing would be to bring up yesterday's hearing and watch a little bit of that. Not yesterday, the day before. Oh, let's watch the verdict. Yeah, we can do that. I just kind of did a random verdict from my cell phone. I mean, from my tablet yesterday. So we didn't actually get to see the verdict itself. So let's see. Let's go back to land crime. That was my big takeaway from this. That it's not a crime to smell. That's my big takeaway from this whole trial. It's not a crime to smell. Law and crime, rolling out that fancy new logo of theirs that doesn't fit in the cuck cage. We need someone to make my dumbass a new cuck cage. Let's see. Land crime. Triple murder trial. Day, whatever this day was yesterday. Went for 9 hours yesterday. All right, well, I'm gonna bump this, separate these two streams over here so we can see what the court's up to. Whilst I bring up yesterday's sentencing. Boom. Oh. Right. Pop out this window. Boop. And bring up the other. Begin it and start it. Let's go all the way to the very end, shall we? So the verdict came back in about 3 hours and 40 minutes. Fast forward a bit here.
All right, if you could please hand the form to Deputy Mills.
This is the verdict from yesterday.
Thank you.
So we're rooting through her papers.
All right, the court will now read the verdict.
Here we go.
Verdict Form 1A, murder as to Christopher Jones. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of murder. Having found the defendant guilty of murder, we found that the murder was intentional. Verdict Form 2A, murder as to Maurice Gordon. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of murder. Having found the defendant guilty of murder, we found that the murder was intentional. Verdict Form 3A, murder as to Larry Ordway. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty of murder. Having found the defendant guilty of murder, we found that the murder was intentional. Verdict Form 4, tampering with physical evidence. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty. Verdict Form 5, abuse of a corpse, as to Maurice Gordon. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty. Verdict Form 6, abuse of a corpse, as to Larry Ordway. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty. I'm now going to ask each of you by just kind of pointing, beginning with the back row and going down and then the front row. Is this your verdict? Is this your verdict?
Yep, that's their verdict.
Yes. Counsel, can you all approach?
So there you go. That's the that was the verdict yesterday, after about 3 hours and 40 minutes of deliberations. You're disappointed in his. I think you mean you're disappointed in his lack of reaction. He just kind of sat there. The burning question, so to speak, for a lot of you is, as Sugar Bee says, what's up in the back of his head? Nobody really knows. Rumor has it that he's apparently, the best we can figure is he's had an ongoing staph infection in his head for at least the last 10 months. That thing's got to be itchy AF. I'm pretty sure he got it from a. If that's the case, it wouldn't be surprised if he got it from like a dirty razor in the prison or something. So that's the best we can tell about what's up with his noggin. But it's that ain't a pretty head. That just ain't a pretty head. Dude needs some head MRSA to eat that grotty scalp away. Wow. That's the grotty scalp. Okay, they're bringing him on into court. So let's stop that screen and bring up the current stream. Right, there we go. Was oh, shirt and tie. Must be hot in Kentucky. Say what? Wait, you brought them in just to tell them to come back tomorrow? Eh? It, please tell me that. Please tell me that Judge is confused about her days and I didn't just lose all of my IQ points. Oh, oh wait, okay. Sorry, I had the wrong audio on. Sorry about that. I was like, wait a minute, what? I was listening to yesterday where she was talking about starting the penalty phase, and they would start at 1 p.m. tomorrow, but they should come back on Wednesday. And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, tomorrow Wednesday? Wait, what? No, the courtroom. Sonia or Chris, you just need to turn up your volume. But thank you very much. The courtroom audio is not muted now. All right. Yes, you can hear it. Just listen, people. Okay, if his trousers are still tucked into his shoes, there's something else going on.
All right, so, as we concluded yesterday, I informed you all that we would begin what's called the sentencing or penalty phase portion of the trial at this point. In the penalty phase portion of the trial, you will hear the penalty range for the offenses for which you convicted,
Yeah,
which are murder, tampering with physical evidence, and abuse of a corpse. It is in many ways very similar to the phase where you decide guilty or not guilty. Each side will have an opportunity to make an opening statement if they wish to do so. They may present evidence, and then they make closing arguments as well if they wish to do so. Then, just like before, you will be given instructions by the court as to the sentencing, and then you will retire to deliberate. Is the Commonwealth ready? Would you like to make an opening statement? Go right ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on behalf of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, families of Christopher Jones, Morris Gordon, we thank you for your time and your attention these past 2 weeks. This portion of the trial will be much shorter. We will recall Ms. Wren, Debbie Wren, grandmother of the victims, and you will hear from Sean Jones, brother of Christopher Jones, about the effect these murders had on their families. We will also present evidence of the defendant's prior convictions and about the length of the sentences that you can impose, and just a little bit about the.
I swear to God, this woman is allergic to
parole
microphones.
system in Kentucky, so that you have more information that you can use when you decide upon these sentences. Now, when you go back there to deliberate, you are allowed to consider all the evidence you have already heard up to this point, the nature of the crimes presented during the past week's testimony, in addition to the new evidence that you will hear today. Thank you very much.
For the defense?
All right, well, we're up to 600% for the court because they're allergic to microphones. Well, not this again. Yeah, we'll mute it while they're doing that. I cannot do that fingers on a chalkboard.
Right. So yesterday, seems like a long time ago to me actually, but I know it. Yesterday, we talked about whether or not the Commonwealth had met its burden. And that was the last time we talked before you went out and you went to the jury room. And I want you to know that I appreciate the fact that you took time, talked about it together, went through the instructions, thought about it. And I understand that you reached your conclusion. That's your job. You did your job.
Yep, they did.
Now, there's just a few more days. That sounds even worse than it is. Tomorrow. We'll finish tomorrow. And you also may be tired of me, and I'm not going to talk at great length. I know I talked for a little while yesterday. Thought I had a lot more to say.
Death penalty is not an option. The death penalty is off the table. They decided he was too crazy to kill, but not
The
crazy enough
result
to
of your deliberations
mistrial.
today are not and should not be a foregone conclusion. You may have, when you were back in that room, said, we want to find him guilty, and we already know what we think the penalty should be. You're human beings, right? You may have reached that conclusion. I understand that. That's okay. But as the court just told you, there's more for you to hear. There's going to be evidence from the prosecution. There's going to be live witnesses from the witness stand. There's also evidence that we think that you need to hear. The evidence that we think you need to hear is about Brice. It's about Brice as a person, as a human being.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
We, all of us, everybody, we are not simply the worst thing that we have ever done. You have reached the conclusion that Brice committed that crime.
We're not the worst thing we've done, but murdering 3 people and burning 2 bodies, that's pretty bad.
Brice is a human being as well.
That's pretty bad.
I'm going to ask you to keep an open mind and listen and decide Because literally what you decide today and tomorrow determines his future.
I think my worst day and his worst day are little different. There's a slight difference. Mine involves 100% less corpses.
Getting to know, trying to get to know Brice, not just him, his family, his life, his history, everything about him. That's one of the things that in a case this serious that a lawyer tries to do. Know more about Brice than Brice. I'd love it if I could just sort of open up my brain and pour it out and just tell all of you, but I can't, and I won't.
Me no communicate good. You know that.
From witness stand.
Don't judge this lawyer by his
But there are
best, his
some
worst
things that I
day.
can't tell you. No matter what conclusion you have reached about Brice as a person because of these charges, Brice is a human being. And more importantly, Brice is a person who's had a life that got him to this point.
All right, show of hands. How many people had kind of a
Some of the
shitty
evidence
life?
you hear
And how
in this
many of you have
witness stand
murdered
will
3
talk
and
about
burned
what his
2
life has been
bodies?
like to this point.
All right, let's everybody make a pro and con column, make a you column and a him column, and see how
You'll
many
hear
shitty things have
that as a
happened to you.
child, Brice's life was different than a lot of kids.
A lot of kids, maybe not all, but a lot.
There's things we take for granted. Right? Many people have tough lives. Brice is one of the people who has had a very tough life. And he also had obstacles that luckily most of us do not have.
A shitty rap video or two.
Here,
That's a
Brice
severe
suffers
obstacle.
from an intellectual disability. That's the current term. That's what people use now. When I
They
was
used to
young,
just call him
we used the
retarded.
word
Oh, yes, he
I'm
said
not
the
saying
R word.
to
My client,
harmful to Brice.
members of the
I'm
jury,
saying
my
that
client is a retard. That's his defense.
You'll hear expert testimony
No.
from this witness stand explaining not only the existence of that disability, but also the effect.
He literally just called his client a retard.
Because these things aren't
Literally.
abstract, they're not just out there.
Oh no.
It's not just the existence of something like that. It's how it affects somebody. And not merely how it affects them in the moment, but how it
Oh,
affects them
no.
year after year after year.
Based
Here,
defense.
Brice, when other kids were doing well, was doing poorly. Brice would say over and over, I don't understand, I just don't understand. People can have
Oh no.
things
Yeah,
can
normally-
affect people differently.
Normally you would just say my client's not the smartest, my client has intellectual
in this
disabilities. He
based
just
on the
flat out
things
said
you've
my
read,
client's a
I will tell you
retard.
there is no small sentence. I'm not going to get up here and ask you for a small sentence because that's not even possible. It's not even possible. The smallest sentence, and the judge will instruct you, is 20 years in prison for each count 1, count 2, count 3. That's the smallest amount. So there is not going to be, not me, not somebody else from my team. No one's going to get up here and say that we're now asking you to let Brice out the door or anything like that.
You
Because
can't.
That wouldn't even be in your power.
Right.
But I am going to ask you to keep an open mind and think about the things in his life that have actually affected him and got him to this room and that chair today. You're going to hear about Brice having several brothers, several sisters.
No, there is no death
I'm not
penalty.
gonna
This
try
is
and go through all of them
this is a
today,
non-death
because
penalty
frankly, it
case.
would also be names that are difficult to remember, and I'm not trying to be confusing. But you will hear about one of his brothers. And this brother in particular, I think is important. I think it's worth pointing him out because he also had trouble.
Did his brother murder the shit out of 3 people?
Both had difficulties, but there's a big difference between the two. One brother got help, got extra attention, got extra counseling, got extra time, was evaluated, and had parents who followed through with the evaluation. And that brother now
Can't argue.
is a professor teaching in a college. Brice didn't get any of that help. I wish he had. I'll go so far as to say if he had, I do not think any of us would be in this room. But he didn't. He didn't get the help. Instead of getting the help, there was a custody battle. And the custody battle revolved around control of him and his schooling.
Oh, he had 2
That got
parents that
bad
were
enough
involved in
so that
in custody
he was
battle
taken
about
away
it.
from the same parents who followed the recommendations and helped the one brother. But instead, Brice got none of that support. He got none of those resources. He didn't get better. You'll also hear that as part of that, at times he was in a household with physical punishment. That he suffered some significant trauma because of that. You'll hear that from an expert on this witness stand who will walk you through the effect of trauma. And the effect of trauma is different for different people. I like to think that I'm pretty
Jeff?
resilient.
You ever see Brice Rhodes' head in the pale moonlight? Do you ever dance with
But
the
the
devil in the
problem
pale
is-
moonlight?
If someone is already suffering from an intellectual disability, they don't have that resilience. When trauma hits them, they don't have the skills and the resources to deal with it themselves. Not the same way that one of us might be able to do. It's when you have a kid who suffers the trauma because of his intellectual disability, can't fix himself. The only thing that can fix him is if he has people who love him and care
Kinda
for
what I
him
was thinking.
and go the extra mile. And you're going to hear that unfortunately that didn't happen. I'm not trying to say that the people in Brice's life were terrible parents or evil people, any of that.
Well, they were both fighting
I
for
have-
him. Sounds like they were great
Kids,
people.
I know it is hard. It is work all the time. But I am going to say that they dropped the ball. And dropping the ball in this case, dropping the ball with Brice, with all the deficits and all the problems and the trauma that he was experiencing, had real lasting effects.
So it's the parents' fault he murdered everybody. All right.
Does that excuse everything that you've heard about? No, I'm not saying it does.
You kind of
Saying
did.
It's relevant and important in deciding who Brice is as a human being. And that you are allowed, and the judge will read you instructions and say the law allows you to consider those things as well when you decide on a fair punishment. You are allowed, as the Commonwealth said, to consider all the evidence from the first phase. And I think if we told you you weren't allowed to consider it, you would anyway.
That was a nice
You're allowed
cough.
to consider the punishment that was meted out to Mr. Carter, Mr. Taylor. Carter was in prison for 3 years. Mr. Taylor was in prison for 6.5. You're allowed to consider.
Right, Island. That's kind of what I'm getting out of it.
punishment as well. It's a to you how much that matters. The last thing I want to tell you, it's something that would naturally occur to you.
Just
You
listen
probably already
listen to
think
Colonel Sanders.
is
The KFC.
based on what you do in this courtroom. What happens next? Where does Brice grow? Some of that evidence will be presented to you. We'll answer as many of those questions as we can. One thing you'll also hear from the experts on the stand is that even though Brice is damaged, there is still hope and he still could be redeemed. That with the right combination of medicine and therapy and treatment, he is someone who could, after serving whatever long sentence you give him, that could.
Yeah, we know the court
a
is like
future.
the court is actually at 600% volume right now.
Only
And
Brice
I am
can atone.
at 23% volume.
I'm asking you to give him a
Because-
chance to do that.
They're allergic to microphones in the court. There's not much we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Griffiths.
All right, well now
Someone like
we'll
to
get
call
it
the
up
first
on.
witness?
Yes, Your Honor, Commonwealth calls Sean Jones.
Whoa. Sebastian Mueller just gifted 50 Legal Vices memberships.
Sir, you
Holy
can come right
crap,
up here,
bruh.
please. Just watch your step there.
S-
Could you please raise your right hand for me?
Wow.
So we tell the truth and the whole truth. Thank you. You can have a seat.
Thank you. Oh, wait a minute. Who is that guy gonna
Good
stop
afternoon,
if he
sir.
starts rampaging?
Could you introduce yourself to the jury?
Jury, my name is Sean Lamont Jones. I am the older brother of Christopher Renard Jones.
Thank you, Sebastian Mueller.
Could you tell the jury how this crime has affected your family?
Thank you so much. That's 2 shots right
My
there.
family,
And doggo cam.
you know, brother, he has 2 sons. They're, in high school, and they don't have their father.
Wow. Thanks.
And really, it impacted me more because I felt as an uncle to them. Couldn't take care of them the way their father would take care of them.
How are his sons doing?
Doing good. One's at Manu playing football, one's at Shawnee playing football. It's Christopher Nora Jones Jr. and Byron Martin.
We heard earlier there's a daughter.
Yes, he has a daughter. He has a granddaughter. They have never met either. So yeah, it impacted. It's very hardly.
Is there anything else you would like the jury to know?
He was a good man, He didn't deserve that.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
My brother was a good man. He didn't deserve for his life to be taken. For him to grow with his sons and his daughter and try to get to know or even get to know his granddaughter. He'll never have that.
How old is the granddaughter?
She is probably 3, maybe.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. Hold on, the defense might.
Any questions?
Sorry for your loss. I don't have any questions.
You're free to go, sir. Thank you.
Oh, I just barely got his name up. And I said Sebastian Mueller. All right, so that was the brother of the first murder victim. Chris
Thanks,
Mueller.
Tom would like to call their next witness. Thank you. Hello again, Miss Ron. Just need to swear you again, please. You swear to tell the truth and the whole truth? Thank you, madam.
Could you reintroduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Deborah Wren, W-R-E-N.
And Ms. Run, how has this crime affected your family?
I can't even begin to tell you how this has been. Nothing is the same. Nothing. We just can't get over it. We cannot. We don't know how to deal with it. It's been 7 years and 7 months. And all the things we used to do, go to the boys' ball games, birthday parties, Christmas, everything. It's just not the same without them. They really were kids.
And ma'am, can you let the jury know who of the boys' family has been with us through this trial?
Their
Who-
mother.
Their mother,
Yeah.
and who else?
Larry's other grandmother.
Larry's grandmother?
Mhm.
Okay.
And Larry's half sister, Shalara, and just different friends and people like that. It just sounds too hard to come. Was it?
Yeah. And has your husband been here too?
Oh yeah. He he watches it every day on TV, and he can't be here because he fell and hurt his leg and fractured his knee and pulled ligaments in his knee, and he couldn't get up and down. And the jury came in and out, so he has to stay home. And this was the most important part for him. And all he can do is watch it on TV. And then talk to me when we get home. But we'll never be the same. Nothing is the same. I mean, you can still get together with your family, but you miss them because they were so loving and so much fun. And Larry used to help me. Larry used to help me put the Christmas tree up and get ready for Christmas and put the Christmas music. He wanted to listen to Christmas music in October. But really, sorry. I miss him so much. We all miss him so much every day. When I think about the things they could have done, and Larry and Reese, Larry really had planned on going to Texas Christian College. That's all he talked about, was going to Texas Christian College and playing football. That's all he talked about all the time. And Reese talked about his music. He loved music. But they were fun. They were fun kids. They were. Now they're gone. 7 years and 7 months.
Thank you, ma'am. I have no further questions.
Okay.
You're free to go, ma'am, or stay, as you wish. Next witness.
I'll call Danielle Brown.
Thank you. Could I have you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth? Thank you, Ms. Brown. Have a seat.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
Good afternoon. My name is Danielle Brown and
Shoot,
I am a
sorry, I was
paralegal.
muted.
And
Don't
do you
know.
work with my office?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What?
That was
relative
cheers to
this
Sebastian
trial,
Mueller.
What are your duties?
My duties are to compile the criminal history and compile the certified convictions and things like that.
In this case, did you get certified copies of records for the defendant Brice Rhodes?
Yes, I did.
How do you do that?
I contact the clerk's office for both here and in Indiana, and I got certified and exemplified copies of each of the convictions.
And are there certain identifiers or other means that you use to make sure you're getting the convictions for the right person?
Correct. I searched by name, birth date, social security number, and things like that.
And what is the defendant's date of birth?
His date of birth is September 8th, 1990.
So how old is he now?
He is 33.
Did you find prior criminal convictions in this case?
Yes, I did.
Right.
Yeah, well, while I was I don't know why I was muted. I don't remember mute. Oh, I think I muted because I coughed. But yeah, that was a cheers for Mueller giving me 50 legal vices memberships. That is ridiculously huge. I thank you. And also, I read Island's 3-month member chat. It's freezing and I need tea. Tell them not to do any sentencing without me. There is no doggo cam debt because of Sebastian Mueller.
It happened in Clark County, Indiana.
There you go, buddy.
Okay, what was the date of the offense?
January 9th, 2009.
And what was the offense?
It is 3 counts of intimidation and 1 count of carrying a handgun without license.
Wow, so now we're going over all of the bad stuff he did.
Date of the conviction?
February 1st, 2010.
Strawberry will be back.
And what was the sentence?
4 years fixed term of imprisonment at the IDOC.
Would that be the Indiana Department of Corrections?
Correct.
What was the date, the next offense, what county?
Clark County, Indiana.
Yeah, that was Strawberry. Yoda is in the other room. Now Strawberry's over in the other room drinking some water, it
Date of
sounds
that
like.
offense?
April 24th, 2009.
And what was that offense?
2, 3, 4 counts of armed robbery, and 1 count of criminal confinement.
Criminal confinement.
What was the date of the conviction?
February 1st, 2010.
Okay, so it looks like he sentenced both things on the same day.
Correct.
What was the sentence for this one?
12 years fixed term of imprisonment at the Indiana Department of Corrections with 6 years suspended. upon
He's got
completion
some
of
crimes from
probation.
Indiana. This is from Kentucky. They're just going over his rap sheet, show you that he's a horrible, horrible human
He
being.
violated that probation on January 12th of 2014.
Yeah, surprising, isn't it? He's got a record. Sounds like it, criminal confinement. It kind of sounds a lot like kidnapping, doesn't it?
January 12th, you said?
Yes, 2014.
And when he violated the probation, what happened?
He was revoked on April 14th, 2015, and it was revoked 270 days. and released with JTC of 135 actual days and ordered returned to original terms of probation.
And are these misdemeanors or felonies?
These are felonies.
Was there another offense?
Correct. The next one is in Jefferson County, Kentucky. And that one, the offense date is August 6, 2013.
Hang on, I'll be right back in a second. Whiskey on a very empty stomach at 4 o'clock in the
Assault,
morning
fourth
is
degree,
never a
domestic
good
violence,
idea,
Minor
apparently.
injury.
Need to get some food. I'll be right back. Hang on.
Okay. What was the date of conviction?
August 19th, 2013.
And what was the sentence in that case?
He was sentenced to 193 days in jail, which 180 of those days were suspended. He was credit time served for 13 days and sentenced to 2 years supervised probation.
And is that a misdemeanor or a felony?
That is a misdemeanor.
Was his probation successful?
No, he violated once on April 17th, 2014, and again on December 17th, 2014.
What were those dates?
The first time was April 17th, 2014, and then again on December 17th, 2014.
What were the penalties for each of those?
The first time he was revoked on April 24th, 2014, he was sentenced to 90 days in jail, credit time served for 12 days. And the second time, it was the sentence date was June 3rd, 2016, and he was sentenced to 90 days in jail.
Was there another?
Dog butt.
Another conviction?
Yes, the next one is from Clark County, Indiana.
What was the date of the offense?
January 12th, 2014.
And the offense?
2 counts of battery resulting in bodily injury.
Just having a snack. When she stops moving, we'll bring her back up.
What was the date of sentence?
July 16th, 2015.
What was the sentence?
He was jailed for he was sentenced to 1 year in jail, 6 months in jail, sentenced to run consecutive.
Yes, this is what the jury is hearing. The jury is deciding what the punishment should be. So they're listening to all of the good and the bad about him.
They consider those misdemeanors.
Was that probation successful?
No, he was violated on December 16th, 2015.
Sorry, I had some ASMR rattling there. I
Excuse
thought I
me, he
muted myself.
violated on December 16th, 2015.
And was there a final conviction?
Not for that. That is still
No,
currently.
I'm sorry, I meant for an
Oh, yes. The last one is Jefferson County,
What was the date of the offense?
April 13th, 2014.
What was the crime for which he was convicted?
Assault, fourth degree, domestic violence, minor injury.
I think that was the time he allegedly beat up he punched his mother in the skull while she was unloading groceries.
Date of the conviction?
He was convicted on April 24th, 2014.
Yep. That was a conviction for punching his mother in the head.
What was the sentence like?
He was sentenced to 270 days in jail with 180 days suspended, credit time served 12 days, 2 years supervised probation.
And when he was probated, was that probation successful?
It was not. He had a violation on December 17th, 2014.
And was that the final conviction?
Yes, that was the final conviction.
Right. Thank you. I have no further questions. Do you all want me to move this? We're getting this.
Any questions from the defense?
So, in your role, how long did you have that?
A little over a year.
So you were asked to get records together and kind of collate them into a report, basically.
Correct. as in,
With Brice Rhodes.
correct.
I got a further question.
Any follow-up?
No, ma'am.
You're free to go, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so he's got a hell of a long record.
Commonwealth's next witness.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth calls Officer Christy Henley.
Thank you.
Officer Christy Henley. And while doing that, the second shot that I owe Sebastian Mueller for that incredibly generous 50 Legal Vices membership. Thanks. That is such a good whiskey, but it hits different at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I'll let you set your stuff down, and then I'll have you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to
Oh,
tell
she's
the
got
truth and the whole truth?
stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Officer Henley. Can I have a seat?
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Christy Henley. I am a probation and parole officer with the Kentucky Department of Corrections.
And as part of your duties with the Office of Probation and Parole, do you learn about the penalty ranges for different crimes and the system of parole and incarceration in Kentucky?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant has been convicted of
Been convicted of what?
Tell the jury, what is the penalty range for murder?
The penalty range for murder can be 20 to 50 years, life without parole, or life without parole for 25 years.
Life without parole for 25 years? She's like, I didn't say that right, did I? Did I hear that wrong, or did she just say that completely wrong?
20 to 50 years. Does that mean that the sentence could be 21, 42, any number in between 20 and 50?
Yes.
Duh.
If somebody is sentenced to any of these besides life without parole, will they at some point meet the parole board?
Yes.
Okay, before we get to when that is, can you tell the jury what parole is?
Parole is a supervised early release from a prison sentence that is authorized by the state parole board.
You're a parole officer. You shouldn't have to
And
read
how
that.
does somebody get paroled?
Um,
Do they go before the parole board?
they do.
Okay.
She doesn't even know how to.
What are some of the
Oh.
things that the parole board can consider?
The parole board, for appropriative release, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. They will consider psychological evaluations, educational programs, the seriousness of the crime, whether it was violent, the criminal history, the juvenile record, institutional adjustment, history of drug and alcohol involvement, history of assaultive behavior, history of violence, and any pending charges.
And when somebody goes before the parole board, what are the different choices the parole board can make at that point?
There are 3 different choices. They can choose to parole them. They can choose a deferment, and then they can choose serve out.
What does serve out mean?
Serve out means that they will be required to serve until their minimum expiration date.
All right, so we'll go back to now what somebody's eligible for parole. Is murder a violent offense?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So he has an expiration date. That's cool.
Does that affect parole eligibility?
It does.
When somebody is convicted of a violent offense, when is that person eligible for parole?
They have to serve at least 85% of their sentence.
Until they meet the parole board?
Yes, ma'am.
So if somebody got a 20-year sentence, when would he be eligible to meet the parole board?
A 20-year sentence, they would be eligible to meet the parole board in 17 years.
And at that point, what you said before, the parole board could parole them, defer them, or just tell them they have to serve out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What, 21 years, when would he meet the parole board?
21 years would be 17 years and 10 months.
Is there, well, what about 50 years?
50 years, 24 and up would be 20 years.
And why is that?
Statutory limits.
Okay, so does everyone, before we get to these two last ones, does everyone meet the parole board at 20 years if they're sentenced to 24 years?
Yes.
So 24 years is 20 years,
Mhm.
and 50 years is 20 years, and everybody knows.
Thanks, Judge.
Are there two exceptions?
Yes.
And if somebody is sentenced to life without parole for 25 years, when do they meet the parole board?
After 25 years.
And if somebody is sentenced to life without parole, when do
They do not.
She's like, they do not. That's what's happening
You
to him.
said something earlier when you were talking about the final choice a parole board can make is to serve somebody out.
Mhm.
And you said something about a max date.
Minimum date.
Minimum date. What does
Yeah.
that mean?
The minimum date is the date the offender will satisfy their sentence with good time credits.
Do good time credits apply to violent offenses?
Some of them, yes.
Okay. What is a good time credit?
A good time credit.
Good time credit. Isn't that something you get at the massage parlor?
Good time is just a general term for all the credits that an individual can receive.
So let's say somebody has a 20-year sentence, he goes before the parole board, they say, you got to serve out. How much time might these good time credits be?
Judge, I object. Can you-
They're approaching when I got a mouthful of protein bar. Oh, he's shaking his head furiously at something. What are you doing, Dorcas? Turn around, smile. Smile at the people, doggo. Hey. Turn around, you dumbass. Strawberries being dumb. All right. Well. Well, we don't care. Let's see. Show what's happening up at the judge. I'd rather see the actions of the lawyers than her talking
Do you
to
know if there are
Scabhead.
credits that could bring down well, I feel like this is really confusing. Sorry. Let's say somebody has a 20-year sentence.
Yes.
Needs to parole board at 17 years. They serve him out. Does he continue to serve for 3 full years?
Yes, he will serve on parole supervision until his minimum expiration date.
I'm sorry, not parole supervision. If he has to serve out the rest of his sentence in prison.
Yes.
Okay. So are there credits that take off from the back end of that?
There can, but he won't. He will not go below 85% of his sentence.
So he'll serve at least 17 years.
Yes.
And may serve more depending on the credits.
Yes.
Okay. If he is placed on parole for 20 to 50 years or life, and he is, or even life without parole for 25 years, and he is paroled, how long does somebody serve on parole?
He will serve on parole until his minimum expiration date.
And is that what you said
It's
earlier?
funny he
is
has
the
an
time
expiration
of the
date.
sentence minus the credits?
Yes.
So when somebody is on parole, is he released out onto the streets?
Yes, they are supervised by probation and parole at that
And
point.
what sort of things do they do while they're on parole?
They have to follow several rules. We have a set of general conditions that we put them on. They will report to an officer on a regular basis. They maintain employment. They participate in counseling programs. They have to maintain a stable residence. No possession of firearms, no use of drugs. If they have any payments, they have to pay supervision fees, restitution, no new offenses.
And are these similar to the requirements of somebody who's on a probation caseload as well?
Yes.
If somebody is on parole and then violates the parole, what happens?
They will more than likely go, but either face a sanction or go back before the parole board.
Can they be revoked from the parole?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury
Like
what
his previous
the difference
paroles.
is between consecutive sentences and concurrent sentences?
Consecutive sentences run right at one after another, and concurrent.
She's not
the
really
sentence
telling
will
us,
run at
she's
the same
reading
time.
us.
Okay, so if somebody has 3 counts of murder and the jury and let's say they get 30 years on each count, can the jury run those all together for a total of 30 years currently?
Yes.
And can the jury also run those consecutively?
Yes.
Is there a cap on number of years?
70 years.
The defendant has also been convicted of tampering. What is the penalty range for that?
1 to 5 years.
And then abuse of a corpse, 2 counts. What is the penalty range for that?
That is up to 12 months.
Further questions? Thank you.
For the defense?
I did my job. She's smiling.
Afternoon.
I want to make sure that this is all clear to the jury. We talk about this sort of stuff all the time. This is what just your bread and butter, right?
Yeah, she
But
likes her
actually,
butter.
some of this stuff is fairly confusing.
It is.
So I may even ask you the same question that she asked, but I'm not doing it to be confusing. I'm trying to make sure there isn't.
Okay.
The sentences that carry, the charges that carry the most time that the jury has convicted Mr. Rhodes of is count 1, 2, and 3. Those are all counts of murder.
Yes.
You walked us through, but I want to make clear when we're talking about the time. When you say 85%, I want to make sure this is clear to the jury. We're not talking about the 85% would only play in to what's called a term of years, right? That's this top.
Yes.
The prosecution was asking you about good time, right? But actually with a violent offense, someone is not eligible for most of what we call good time. That's so there is not a concern, and the jury should not have a concern that a sentence, for example, of 30 years.
Strawberry's awfully active today.
That was whittled down by good time to some low number. If right, I mean, it doesn't go down. There's not some, we don't, in Kentucky with a violent offense, people don't walk out the door with a small percentage of their sentence.
No.
Okay. Also, because with movies, TV, and true crime podcasts, people get confused. In Kentucky,
Do they
we
really
don't have a system where 1 day counts for 2 or 1 month gets doubled or anything like
No.
that. Right? Okay. So if somebody's serving a year, that's a day for day year.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
I want to make sure I'm asking you this question. Also, I wanted to clarify, you may have said it, but I didn't hear you say it. There's no possibility of probation at all.
In most places is 85% of the
Because this is a
sentence.
violent offense. That's not something that anyone even talks about.
And I say most
Talk
places.
about
Most places I know
these
of are
things, like
85%.
20 When the Commonwealth is asking about the 20 years parole eligibility, That's an actual 20 calendar years.
Yes.
for eligibility. Okay. Even if someone is eligible for parole in Kentucky, and you said this, but I just want to make sure this is clear. That doesn't mean you ever get it.
No, correct.
Being eligible for parole is never a guarantee in Kentucky that you will get parole.
Correct.
And you laid out the criteria and things.
Her
that the
face is
parole
red
board
because
looks at.
it's a fat flush,
So
probably.
is it fair to say that someone basically
She's
has to
exerting herself
earn
by talking.
parole? They have to show the parole board
Correct.
that that parole will be appropriate. So if somebody does a bad job on those criteria that you laid out for us, they don't get parole.
Yeah, it'd be up to the parole board, but yeah.
So if someone went up after 20 calendar years for parole, they could be denied parole.
Correct.
And under some circumstances, the parole board might, if they've done very badly, if the parole board was very disappointed with them, then they might never see the parole board again. Did I hear you say that?
Correct.
Okay. Or the parole board, again, after 20 years in this, and I'm just using this one, might say, we'll see you again in 3 years or 5 years or some number. They would set a number. Does the parole board then tell people who are in prison, or does someone, it might not be the parole board, it might be a different employee of the Department of Corrections. Are people told what the expectations are and things like participating in programs, staying out of trouble, things like that?
When they're incarcerated?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not a surprise.
No.
They know what is expected of them, so people have an opportunity to try and earn that, right? Or if they don't meet expectations, then it's their own fault.
Correct.
Inside of the prison, you talked about there are programs, and I know I'm not going to ask you specific programs, specific places, right? Because that wouldn't be fair. You probably don't know. But
Dude,
there are
where are you
programs
going with
available.
this?
Correct.
And the parole board evaluates whether people participated in them and how they did in them and things like that.
Correct.
There's also therapy and counseling, depending upon the needs of the individual.
Correct.
And if appropriate, medication will be administered by the Department of Corrections as well.
Correct.
Or stray, the people can stay here and watch this where they are. Yeah.
The people who do this in the
You don't
Department
need,
of
nobody needs to go
Corrections
anywhere else. You can
are
all stay
well-trained.
right here.
Correct.
They see lots of people, right?
Correct.
And they know what they're doing. Right.
I would like to agree. Yes,
Okay.
correct.
You can tell me if they don't know.
Yeah,
And those professionals make decisions about, when we're talking about parole, for example, they make decisions about who should stay in and who should be released with some form of supervision. Right?
Yes, the parole board does.
it's not much later. It's only an hour from now, Stray. We don't advertise other people's streams in the middle of my stream.
And
we
if
just don't do
someone
that.
is
Yeah. we just don't.
eventually, I mean, we're talking about large numbers here. If somebody is eventually released on supervision, then they're still not, they still have things they have to do.
Correct.
They have rules they have to follow.
Correct.
And you, people who work with you, follow up on them, right?
Correct.
You make sure that people are following the rules.
Correct.
And if they're not, then you bring them back to court.
Correct. Yeah, we put it back before the parole board.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Yeah.
No.
All right, you're free to go. Thank you.
That was weird.
Does Commonwealth have any other witnesses?
That concludes the comments.
All right. Thank you. We're gonna take a break. Although I do want to go ahead and tell you all, I don't think that we'll be here very late today. I expect for you to be out of here hopefully by 4. But right now, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. If you could just come back in front of the courtroom doors at 2:40.
2:40, so that's 14 minutes from now. Cool. All right. Well, as the jury files out, what did we get? What did we all take away from that? He's a bad guy. He's got a long ass rap sheet, and he's facing the rest of his life, either 25 to life or, depending if they run consecutively or concurrently. Oh no! That was not a juror they just showed, was it?
Maybe.
Yes.
No, that was. They did not just do that, did they? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep that here. All right. I'm just scrolling back here. I don't want to show this again here. I don't think that was a juror. Oh, okay. That wasn't a juror. That was just someone out in the audience. All right. Good. No, that was not does not appear to have been a juror. That person was someone standing outside of the gate. So that seemed to just be a regular audience member. So yeah. All right, we're cool with that. I just didn't want that to happen anymore. All right, so we've got about 14 minutes here. That would be the absolute best case, but I'm thinking they're probably just going to be going for life. I mean, he's been convicted of some really, really bad things, and the defense lawyer. Well, let's bring this up so people don't think we're done with our stream. Where are we at here? Nope, that's the wrong one. This is what we want. There we go. But I need to bring up. There we go. All right, we got 9 minutes and 30 seconds ish left. Yes, there was no jurors shown on my show. I don't know why the woman is not doing the talking for the defense. Well, I do know why. I just think it's a bad decision because Colonel Sanders is the old guy. He's probably the head of the office. He's probably head of the public defender's office or wherever. So he's got the experience, he's got the age, so he's going and doing most of the talking. But I think she is way, way more effective than he is. So I just think it's just bad. I think he's just not a good speaker, and he's always looking down at the ground and shuffling around, and he's does all the hand stuff, and he's not very persuasive. Rodney Culver, that I just subscribed to your channel. I'm here to the end. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I hope you'll continue to watch even after this is over tomorrow, because we've got lots of cool stuff coming up. Depending on how much time we have this week. I don't know if any of you saw, Megan Fox and I covered a story, I guess about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, about a 18-year-old kid in Florida that was just kind of minding his own business in front of a building next to a hotel where he was staying, and cops rolled up on him and tased the shit out of him. And sort of kind of maybe went over the edge a little bit. We've got the full body cam video for that now. So likely we will do that on Thursday or Friday. Either Thursday or Friday, we'll be showing the full body cam and talking a little bit more about that case. Yeah, the guy that spoke a really obscure language somewhere, where was it, Guatemala or yeah, he barely spoke Spanish, no English. It's like some really obscure tribal language. We've got the full video. We're gonna watch that. Like I said, either Thursday or Friday. Also, we've got our every week we do a throwback, except for when we're doing trials like this. Usually Thursday nights are reserved for Chandler Remington and I. We do retro trials. We've been doing O.J. Simpson for the past year and a couple of months. We're in the middle of closing arguments for the O.J. Simpson trial. That'll last probably another 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a little bit more. But then we're going to start a brand new retro trial, which we'll announce at the end of the O.J. Simpson thing. Boost, he was like from a small tribe somewhere out that didn't speak Spanish. He'd picked up a little bit of Spanish. That was all. So that. Yeah, it's a wild case where, you know, they're screaming at him in English and he doesn't even speak Spanish really. He knew a few words in Spanish, a few words in English, and that was kind of it, plus his native language. Go back and watch the stream. It's really, really fascinating. So yeah, we do the O.J. Simpson thing, then we're going to start a new trial. We're also got the YNW Melly double murder trial, retrial coming up in February. They're still working on jury selection. By the time this gets over and we get back on a sort of a regular schedule, there's a lot of motions to go through in that case. We've got the ongoing saga of J Hatch and the Take Care of Maya trial. I didn't stream the hearing on all of the motions for a new trial, for, you know, everything else. We'll do that as soon as we possibly can. Not pre-trial, retrial. So yeah, we do lots of things here. I hope we'll stick around and watch everything we do, because frankly, this is the best channel on YouTube. I may be biased, but I will say, all bias aside, we do have the greatest chat on the entire YouTube, if not internet platform. So there you go. Sarah Boone has been bumped back to at least next month, probably even later. Courtney Clenny, she's been bumped back to sometime early next year as well. We're following through on all of these. We'll kind of see how things go. Wait. How about we turn the camera on? I had it paused. Who knows when we'll be back? Let me fast forward here. Okay, we still got 4.5 minutes. 4 minutes. Aaron Hack dropping some $10. Thank you so much. Question: what is the point of this? Like, what is the best case and worst case scenario for his sentence? Worst case is he goes away for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. That's what the prosecution is trying to establish, that this guy just needs to go away forever and ever and ever. And the defense is trying to say, oh, he's just a poor misunderstood child. So best case, I'm not sure what the sentencing is for the desecration of corpses. And he's got two convictions for desecrating a corpse and 1 conviction for tampering with evidence. I'm not sure what the possible penalty for that is. But again, if he's away for life without parole, it doesn't really matter. If they run the sentences consecutively, like one after the other, then he would have to serve a life sentence and then another life sentence and then another life sentence. But if they run them collectively together, let's just assume all of the crimes are they're sentenced concurrently, which means they all run at the same time. See, I can do that without reading. I don't have to read like the parole officer does. If all of the sentences are concurrently served, then he's looking at 25 to life, and he has to serve at least 85% of that. So 85% of 25 is best case scenario, about 21 years. But he ain't getting out after 21 years. That ain't happening. So that absolute best case, 21 years without parole. Then he's up for parole. Worst case, he goes away for the rest of his life forever and ever and ever without the possibility of parole. And so what's the defense? Dang it, I still didn't push play. All right. Now let's fast forward again there. There we go. Oh. There we go. We're all caught up now. 2 minutes left. So the defense is making these arguments that, oh, he's a poor kid that had a really hard life. They loved his brother better and sent him to school and took care of him, and now he's a professor. Meanwhile, nobody loved, and their words, not mine, the retarded client. For those of you that missed the beginning, in their opening statements, the defense lawyer literally called his client a retard. Like, he dropped the hard R word. He called him a retard. thing is hilarious. Yeah. So, as Omni Stash Gaming says, why are you wearing a beanie? Well, that goes back to the original background stream we did before this trial even started. They said that when he executed the kids, when he stabbed them, one of them over a dozen times and the other one over 20 times, when he stabbed them, he had put a toboggan over their head and covered their eyes. Turns out toboggan is some sort of monstrous regional slang for a ski cap, which apparently everywhere but Utah calls it a toboggan. Yes, this is allegedly a toboggan. So that's we're wearing this. We're wearing the toboggan out of out of a little insider humor, a little insider reference, I guess. That's what. Yeah. So apparently, like in Kentucky and other places around that, like a multi-state area, they actually refer to ski caps as toboggans. Whereas in my neck of the woods, toboggan is an undrivable sled, a sled where you're just at the mercy of the mountain. But hey, look at this merch. Apparently they do. John Russell. Apparently they do. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but they do. So there we go. It's a thing. It's only in the South that they say that. Nice one, John. That's good. So yeah, that's why I'm wearing that. It's just sort of it's a referential thing to a toboggan. It's like that's exactly what I'm saying, Baka -1. It's like calling a baseball cap a go-kart. Exactly. It's a toboggan from a noggin, right? Seriously, so we call it a toboggan in Alabama too. What about Oklahoma? Does toboggan go as far west as Oklahoma? I'm curious. So you're in Louisiana, so they don't. So okay, apparently it doesn't get that far west. Yeah, it's just a weird regional thing, and so there we go. And right now it's 5:39 here in dark, cold, wintry South Korea. So about 30 minutes to an hour, just that pre-morning cold is gonna settle in, and it got a little bit cold in here yesterday. So Oklahoma is kind of a mix of both, but mostly beanie. We just call it a hat in Utah. It's a hat. Put your goddamn hat on and go out in the snow. You know, we're not. At least I think all you Utah peeps, we maybe we'll call it a ski cap, but mostly it's just put your hat on. Let you figure out which hat is appropriate. Is Santa going to bring you anything this year? I hope not. I'm too old for prezzies. I bought myself some presents. Oh, hey. Speaking of which, one of my Christmas presents is up and running now. You may not have noticed it, but we've got this is how desperate we are waiting here. We've got a whole bunch. This is right here my new lighting system. We have a brand new lighting system that is one of my Christmas presents to myself. This thing does everything. Check this out. Woo! It's all the colors. We've got all the colors here. Yeah, we can go red, we can go green, we can go blue. We've got everything over here. So yeah, we've got lots of lights. We have all the colors. So yeah, we've got lots of presets. We've got lots of fun stuff. But anyway, yeah, this is my I got that for an OnlyFans stream. Yeah, these are some awesome lighting. This light over here may go out before we finish because I need an adapter for the plug and I'm running it off of half-charged batteries. So it may go before we finish. But yeah, we got trying to be different color. That's me. But yes, this is kind of a fun little light. We can go just full on garishness. We can go full on green. We can do all kinds of fun stuff. And it's got effect. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, how is that? That's lightning. This is the lightning effect. It's supposed to mimic lightning. Ooh, scary, huh? Or party time. Ooh, anyway, enough of that shit. We've got lights. That's all I'm saying. I didn't like my other light. See, I used to have the overhead light on plus a white panel light, but it was so garishly bright and it bothered my eyes. So I suffered and I Lorax, you don't have to put on the red light. Lorax. Nice. That was a good one, JKD Buck. I like that. Lorax. You don't have to sell your body to the night. Lorax. All right, enough of that. I always called it a watch cap. There you go. Could be a watch cap. I can see that. Thank you, Jeff, for streaming this for us. You're welcome. I'm surprised there's still 374 people here after the light show. Is this gonna be like Megan and her buttons? No, I just did this for like better lighting, so I don't have to have the garish over it. Because Koreans really love bright rooms. Like I have a square. It's probably it's a square light that's like maybe this big square, and it's got 150 LED lights in this little tiny. So the light is just like bright white. And then I had my panel light for front because if I had the light above was just casting shadows on the face. It was just too damn bright. I don't like bright lights. So I kind of like the subdued tones here, and we can control the skin tones and stuff. And maybe I don't even have to, I haven't even seen, yeah, see, I don't get reflection off the noggin on this one. See, that's kind of why that's not kind of, that is why I started wearing hats in the house, was because that white light would just reflect off my sexy fucking polished skull. But see, now I don't even have to wear it because it doesn't the light doesn't have to reflect. So, now the light is just an affectation. So yeah, the now sometimes the hat of the day can be no hat, because no hat is also a hat, I guess. So the hat. Hey, this is a choice. The baldness is a lifestyle choice. That goes back to the motorcycle club days. Back when Lorax used to be the president of a motorcycle club. Like serious bikers, there's like two kinds of serious bikers. The ones with long hair and the ones with no hair. Because like anywhere medium hair gives you this ridiculous case of helmet head and you never look good. So either let it grow long and pull it into a ponytail so you don't have to worry about it, or you just say fuck it and shave it all off. That's the route I went. I've pretty much had a shaved head for 16 of the last 20 years. So yeah, that's it. Wow, choosy heretics choose. I have no idea what you're talking about. Still waiting for. Make sure I have it. It is playing. We should have been back 5 minutes ago, but I guess we can get rid of the banner, huh? Sometimes his judge is very, very punctual, and other times she's just like, nah. Well, can we get a tour of all of the background art sometime? Well, yeah, we don't have much going on right now. So why not? I'll just have to kind of scooch out of the way here. Let's see, what can we do here? Hey, I can use my nifty new lights to just go boom. Oh, that's we can make it really super bright, and then I can get the hell out of the way. Bring this up, and then I can get out of the way. So here's swing the microphone around. These are some of my figurines. We've got Geralt the Witcher here on a griffin, chopping up the griffin's head. We've got our Dark Souls giant figurines over there. Sif. We got the Mimic. We got Solier. We've got the smaller version. Uh-oh. Baby Sif came out of his stand. Come here, baby Sif. Get back there. There we go. There we go. Baby Sif is back where he belongs. We've got our Funko Pops back there, which is the fourth Doctor Who, Freddie Mercury, Alice Cooper, and Colonel Sanders. Hey, we should bring Colonel Sanders up for the prosecutor. Hi, the defense lawyer. Hi, I'm the defense lawyer. I'm not very good at my job. And we got a Cthulhu idol back here, but the artwork is all Cthulhu based. Yeah, we'll have to zoom out here to do the artwork. Oh shit! Don't push that button, dumbass. Yeah. Oh, F for Sif. Yeah, F in chat for poor little Sif. What a sad story. Let's see. Right. What do we got here? Let's zoom out as much as we can. All right, this is all Cthulhu art. Oh, okay, that one is kind of crooked. That's Cthulhu rising up out of Ryla. We got Cthulhu here, and there's like if it was closer, it'd be like a little boat over here. That's Ryla coming up out of the ocean. That's Cthulhu chasing and attacking the boat. That's Cthulhu actually rising up, and that is one of my prized possessions. That is a 1954 Raymond Burr Godzilla movie poster original. So that's kind of what's going on behind me. And then I just go push that one button and we go back to the regular lighting. Okay, well, there you go. That took a few minutes, but we're still waiting for the court. The court is still there. So there you go. Is my apartment on fire? Ah! Bush wants to know about the wolf. Oh, that's Sif.
I'll squeeze it right out of the peel. Anything we need to take up before I bring the jury in?
So the judge comes back and the first thing she's talking about is food. Go figure. That's Sif. Sif belongs to this guy right over here. He gave his life to save his master in the Dark Souls games. So all right, we're coming back in for now the defense is going to put on their bit of their bit of the penalty phase, where they're going to tell us what a poor misunderstood child he is, how he's had a terrible upbringing.
It was the people in St. Matthews arguing about that right of way, and one neighbor was like, "What?"
Did the judge just say shit? All right. Sonia or Chris said I always call it a watch cap. Thank you so much, Sonia or Chris. And Island within a $5 super chat. Can we get a tour of all the background artwork sometime? I should have treated those as super chats rather than just flashing them up. But yes, thank you so much for those super chats. So hopefully that satisfied the curiosity of what's going on behind me. I've got
Thank you.
3 other Godzilla posters in
Wanna see
another
them
room, but
first?
they're just printed posters. They're not like the
For Mr.
super
Rhodes'
awesome
defense,
movie
would you
poster.
like to call witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor, the defense would call Anna James.
Thank you.
Snossages. Okay, that's like oddly enough, Bush, snossages is like a trigger word for me and my brother. Me and my younger brother will just like randomly text each other
Pat, you can
snossages.
actually come right up
So
to the witness
we
stand.
found the
Thank you.
snossages commercials like 25, 30 years ago to be really
You swear
funny.
to tell the truth and the whole truth? All right, you can have a seat. Thank you.
All right, who are you and what are you doing
Is
here?
it James, James? Thanks.
Ms. James. What does Ms. James do?
Good afternoon. I know I've just said your name, but if you could introduce yourself.
I'm Anna James.
And what do you do for a living?
Well, most recently, I've been in the mental health field for 28 years. Most recently, my position for 11 and a half years was
Mental
assistant
health
mental
person.
health coordinator for the largest Head Start grantee in the state of Indiana.
And what is your relationship to Brice?
I am Brice's stepmother.
Oh, Jesus.
When did you first meet Brice? When did you first come into his life?
In 1998.
And how old was Brice at that time?
7.
And when you met him, how much time did you spend with him?
We spent a lot of time together.
And how often would he stay with you?
Well, he would. I had a young son too, and
th-
then his brother.
The impact statements are over
Bryce's
flux.
brother
This is the
Chandler
defense
was
saying he's a
also
poor
there. So,
misunderstood boy.
Spent almost. It got to be almost every weekend. But then he participated in sports, so I would be at his sports, his football games, and just around the lot.
And that was, I believe how old did you say he was?
He was 7.
All
And then
right,
were there
now
any
we got
other
the banner
periods
fixed. We've got all
of
the
time in
chats
his
out of the
life
way.
when you
Let's
were,
go
seeing
back
him
to
more
our
regularly?
normal view here. Boop, there we go.
So so then his father, and that was the beginning. So I started dating Sean. Actually, Sean and I worked together at Charter Hospital.
And
Sean is Bryce's
Ah.
father. And so we started dating in 98. We introduced our boys. We got more serious in that first year. And then we moved in together in 1999. And Brice was over a lot. I was very
Right.
active in
That's
his
what
life.
I'm waiting to hear, Zeta. What?
And
Because they said he was an
what period
unloved
of
child
time
and
did you
nobody gave
spend
him
with
help,
Brice?
but they're saying that
Would you
his
say
father worked at
became
a hospital
the best
and his
memories?
stepmother is a mental
Those-
health
those were
coordinator for the
years.
area.
So, and when he was little, and he and Chandler and Credence playing together, and Darion, which was another brother that he lived in Lexington when he would come and visit.
Credence? He has a brother named Credence? Have you ever seen the
Our
rain?
first family vacation was, we went to Florida to the beach, and we stayed on the beach, and went to Disney World, and it was just fun, age appropriate fun, and
Age appropriate fun.
we were away, and it was a vacation, and I taught Brice how to swim on that vacation.
Did you take any pictures during that vacation?
Yes, took a lot of pictures. Vacation.
Is this a photograph that you took yourself?
Yes, that is a photograph that I took.
And who are we looking at in this photo?
So this is Brice
Which
and
one?
my son Credence. And you'll notice in this picture, Credence has a big cut
Run through
out
the
of the front
jungle.
of his hair because he looked up to Brice a lot. And Brice had gotten a Nike swoosh cut in the back of his hair, and Credence wanted a Nike swoosh sign like Brice. So that was his attempt at a Nike swoosh sign there. So we
I
look
see
at this
Bryce's
picture a lot
head
about that
rising.
often.
I
Remembering
see
that?
Bryce's head on. Sorry.
And was this a photograph that you took as well?
It was. It was Disney World. And that is Brice, Credence, Brice, and Chandler from left to right.
Where's Chandler Remington when we need her?
And what about this photo?
And that again is Disney World. That was at MGM Studio.
That's Bryce
the
from the
Muppet
I heard
Show.
it through the
We
grapevine
had our
days.
3D glasses on.
And who's in this photo?
That's me and Brice and Chandler and Credence.
Okay, let's go back to the swimming for a moment. We can turn the lights back on for a minute. Thank you. I think you told us that you taught Brice to swim. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that was like?
So, and it was really important, for us, and considering, that we had young children and blending the family, and there was other, parents involved.
So where's the
And
horrible
one thing
part
I
of his
noticed
life we're supposed to be
early on
paying
with
attention
Brice
to?
is that, trust him trusting me was really important. And, you know, I worked really, really hard at that. And also with Brice, he didn't like to be embarrassed. He didn't like to do anything that would put him in a situation where he would be embarrassed or where he didn't have control or, and so the swimming piece was big, and it stands out for me because it was so big, because he had trust was a big thing too. And so in my family, it was always really important to learn how to swim, to at least to know how to float, to be able to, you know, if you fell in, to be able to save yourself.
If you
And
fell
so that
into
was important
Credence's
that
Green
for
River,
me, that the boys knew how to do that. And so that was,
he had to learn to swim because he was
Brice
born on a
didn't know how to
bayou.
swim, and so I taught him how to, I say swim, but it was more floating. And so, you know, teaching him how to float and trusting the water and trusting that the water would hold him up. And I mean, that was a very significant moment.
He sounds like a
in-
fortunate
in the building of
son to
our
me.
connection and our relationship, was teaching him how to swim, and that he trusted me, and that was, and he let the water hold him up, and he was brave, and he did it. He learned how to
Yay.
swim.
Oh,
Is there anything else from that vacation, that family vacation, that stands out or that's significant to you?
Just Brice's goofiness. He was always so goofy when he was, you know, when he was little. And one of the Star Wars came out, and when we went to Disney, the boys, one of the shows we went to, they got lightsabers there. And so then we went to see Star Wars after that. And he, when we got back, he always liked to play pretend too. And he and his brother, not just him, but he and his brothers. And so we had the arms of the couch had covers on them, and Brice thought they looked like what the stormtroopers wore. So, and the other thing I remember is, like, the boys were
What?
in their underwear a lot. So I have all these pictures of them in their underwear.
No.
with these couch things on their head and their lightsabers, like running around.
Okay, that's why he's a
It was
murderer. There's
just
pictures of him
relieving
wearing
that,
couch sleeves as stormtrooper
that we
helmets
were-
running around in his underwear. Okay, now we
we
know
were
what
just
happened.
Happy, and they were happy, and it was just a really nice time to be together as a family.
Thank you. I think we have a few more pictures.
No.
Could you describe this photo for us, please?
So that was after Christmas. Credence, and that's Credence and Brice. And that was it. Yeah, them singing something for me, and Brice playing the guitar.
Down on the
Credence
corner,
continues to be a
out in the
musician
street. That's
to
probably what
this
they're saying.
day,
Susie
but-
Q.
which I think is funny. But
Dude, what? Those
again,
are some
Brice
gimpy
was
ass
so
legs.
goofy. He was
They
so
skipped leg
goofy.
day.
He was always like
As
making
long as
jokes,
I
and
see
yeah, they
the
were really getting
light.
into this song. I don't recall what the song was, but they were really getting into it.
What about this next photo?
And that was a family vacation to Memphis. We drove to, we meet my cousin. It was Memphis was a halfway point for
Now,
us. And
the
so my
defense
cousin
lawyer
Oliver son
spent
met us
basically his
there.
entire opening statement saying
um,
he's a retard and nobody
Brice,
loved him. Nobody
when
cared
we were
about
on
him. Nobody
Beale
spent
Street,
time with
he
him.
saw
Nobody
that
paid
hat and liked
attention
that
to
hat,
him.
and he loved
They
that hat,
loved
and
the
he wore
brother
it,
more
like,
than
the whole
him.
time
But
we
she
were at
just
Hard
sat
Rock
here for the
Cafe
last
getting
how many
together.
minutes talking about what an awesome
But,
childhood they had. And how she's
Brice had
a
little
mental
afro, and so
health
the funny
person.
thing, he wore that hat the whole time, like from
This
when
is
he woke
literally
up
going
until,
against
like,
everything they've said.
the only time he didn't wear it is when we were swimming. But when he would take that hat off, he had wore it so long that that his hair was shaped in the form of that silly hat that he loved so much. Yeah, but that was a good family trip too.
What about this photo?
So that is Brice and his brothers. That is Credence, and Brice and Chandler and Darion, and that is in one of our rooms at our house. And that was, yeah,
Was that a chair that they all like to sit on quite a lot?
Yes, that was a chair that we sit in. It rocked, and so, yeah.
Did it rock as hard as Credence?
A lot of,
Was it normal for Brice to pull a goofy face in a photo?
it is normal. It was normal for Brice to pull goofy faces in, yeah, because he was a goofy boy.
He's
What
a
about
goofy
this one?
boy. He's a wacky murderer.
This was, it was, yeah, it was, that was at my apartment. That's before we moved in. That's when the boys were supposed to be sleeping. You see, Chandler was always very obedient. I don't think he was really sleeping, but
Yeah,
he
he's
knew
faking
that.
it. Oh, so he's faking
knew
and
to
lying
fake
as
it.
far back as then. Lying little murderer.
I think I came in to say, well, you guys are supposed to be asleep. And two, this is Credence's bedroom. Credence had bunk beds. He had 2 beds. But whenever they spent the night, they all slept in the same bed always.
No, the kid's not a weed smoking pussy.
What about this one?
That's Brice and his sister Chambrielle.
Yeah, it looks like he's had a
Typical
really
photo.
horrific childhood, like the
I think that
like the
is a
defense
photo
lawyer was
that-
saying,
that
huh?
his mom had taken.
What about this one? I think you took this one.
Yes, that's one that I had taken of the boys. I think that's the first picture I had had of them taken together.
How old is Brice, do you think, in this?
That
photo?
was 99. 7, 8.
I think we have 2 more.
Where is the defense? I'm so confused. Because they literally said he had a shitty, horrible child and nobody loved him, and he was a victim of a custody dispute, and they paid attention to older brother and not him. But here they're just like, look at all this amazing things. We went on all these vacations, we did all these
think we
cool
can
stuff.
do
Here's this big loving family. Here we are all hugging
What about
everything
this
out. It's literally the opposite of what the defense
That's
lawyer was
Brice,
saying.
His son, Joel. My grandson.
Oh, he's got a
Can
kid
you
too.
look
Well,
for
for
his
fuck's
grandson's
sakes.
life?
Ah,
I am very actively involved
that poor fucking kid.
in his life. Yes.
We don't have any other photos.
Ugh. He's got a kid.
Are there any
God
other
damn it.
memories from Florida or from when Brice was in the 3rd grade that you'd like to share?
Well, the
What would
third
you
grade,
guys-
that was
what would
really
you do with the
specific.
boys?
Well, I was a busy mom, so just making sure they, got
Well, Rodney, you didn't get to go to Disneyland
got to
and you haven't killed anyone. He
practices,
did go to
so,
Disneyland and he killed someone. Extrapolate
we-
from that. Mm.
Brice, when I moved in with Sean initially in 99, his oldest boys, Brice and Chandler, didn't live with him. They lived in the area, but they didn't live with him. And, I was a recent college grad. I, was a sociology major. I had, I worked in the field, and there were some red flags that I saw with both the
Oh.
boys and their living situation. And, and I had this grand idea, not just me, but Sean too, to just wanted
Patrick,
to
no.
stabilize things for the boys. And we were moving towards, marriage and long term. And, and so I felt it would be important to
We,
bring
we
the
dr-
boys into our home to go to
we-
school.
when I was 4 years
I
old, we
worked at a
drove
community
past
mental health center.
Disneyland
Ma'am,
once.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you meant to speak up some.
Sure. Do I need
Yeah,
to
we-
scoop? Is this a mic?
That would
I'm
be
with you,
helpful as
JK
well,
Debug. We
yes.
literally drove past Disneyland once when I was 4.
I worked in I worked on a school-based team in a community mental health center in Jeffersonville, and I just thought it would be we thought it would be a good idea to have them in the home and to be in a school that I could, that I was involved in. And so we met with Brice's mom and his grandmother, and I had expressed to her at that time, and because I knew that there was, I let her know what my concerns were. I felt like, I knew that there was some abuse in her relationship, and that I wanted that we just wanted to provide more stability and we wanted the boys to be together. And
I'm serious.
so his
We were visiting my mother's
Shauna
godmother who lived
agreed
in
to
San
let
Bernardino,
Brice come and live
and we
with us for his
drove
birthday
past
here.
Disneyland.
Um,
It was pointed out
and
to us. This is
so
where we're not going.
he did live with us.
I'm
for-
so sorry. I'm still having a hard time
Oh,
hearing
I'm
you.
It's because I'm
That's
talking
probably
over
my
her.
fault.
I'm
I
sorry.
started talking softly, so let's just try and speak so everyone can hear.
All
it.
right.
Okay.
And I'll probably ask you about a number of things that you've just shared with us.
Okay.
I think, can you tell us about your participation in Brice's education?
And so, the normal kind of things, I was probably a little bit more actively involved because I was at the school pretty often. And, in communication with his teachers about, the progress that he was making. And, there were some concerns that came up and we wanted to get him tested and Shauna refused to have him tested
When
at
you
that.
s- I'm sorry. When you say tested, what do you mean?
So to have a testing for
We got a
developmental
Purdue
or,
representing in the house. Throw it up for Purdue.
Evaluated an evaluation through the
And
school.
what stood out to you that made you want him to be evaluated?
So the processing
Oh,
of
no.
information, the retention of information, just some cognitive things as far as understanding.
Would you help Brice with his homework?
I would.
And what was that like?
It was challenging in that so going back to what I had said earlier about Brice didn't like to be embarrassed or feel, like
Who
he didn't
does?
have control of the situation or, understand things. So I had to think of, ways to
Personally,
help
I
support
love to
him
be
without
embarrassed.
making him, without him feeling embarrassed. And so there would be often, he would, so there oftentimes I would help him as much as I could, but then we would get to a place where, it wasn't helpful anymore. And so that's when I would talk to his teachers about, this is as far as we were able to get. We did read a lot. He didn't like reading. And so I read to him and the other boys. So we would do that, nightly. We read Harry Potter and
There you go.
chapter books and
Now we're getting
things,
to the reason why he's murdering
and that-
people.
that
Harry Potter.
helped him as far as
It's
with
demonic.
the
It's
reading.
witchcraft.
Did Brice, I think you said he did some sports at school.
It was youth league, so he was at that time it was youth league and it was youth league football.
He was
And did
25 at the time.
Brice
He's in
play
his
football
30s
later
now.
in life as
31,
well?
32.
I am not certain. I don't think he played football later. I know
33,
that he
yeah.
played basketball when he was in middle school. But I don't think he played football beyond youth league that I'm aware of. We moved away in 2002. And that changed our accessibility and our interactions.
I'm sorry, changed what?
It changed our accessibility to Brice then and when we moved away.
Did Brice ever get evaluated or tested?
He did get evaluated.
When did that happen?
I am not for certain. I believe it was middle school when the actual testing took place.
And why did it take so long for that to occur?
Because his mother had to agree to that and sign off on it. And that's-
Was it just school that Brice struggled with? How did he do at home with chores or tasks?
So
Oh, I went through that in the
he was
70s and
task
80s.
avoidant
That's old school.
and, you know, and chores weren't, and some, again, trying to determine what's age appropriate and not age appropriate. He tried to, you know, get out of chores a lot. It wasn't his favorite thing to do. And, you know, often would engage in goofy behavior to get out of doing things. So, you know, there wasn't a lot of follow through. And again, he was pretty task avoidant. And
Why do you think he was so task avoidant?
I think
'Cause he's a
and then
lazy
sometimes
fuck.
too, it seemed like, you know, when I gave him directives or when his father gave him directives, the processing piece that I spoke about, he I don't know that he processed that the whole way through. And so it would look like he was being oppositional and he wasn't being, you know, it wasn't. So that sometimes that would lead to problems, you know, in consequences. And but I think it was again about processing and understanding.
Did you ever observe Brice develop a morning routine or any routines or habits of any type on his own?
Not on his own, not on his own. He was, yeah, was pretty dependent on, you know, me or his brother to like wake up and those kind of things. He was still pretty young.
Did Brice ever have a job with you at any point that he was with you?
And so so when we like I said, we moved away in 2002, and he came to live with us when he was in middle school and for a short time. And we were looking at some different alternatives to support him and to get him acclimated into the community. And we did look at, you know, a job at Marsh at the supermarket, but that never, I mean, we spoke with the manager and we went in, but so he never did.
How did that interview go? Do you remember?
So it was an unofficial interview, and it was, but Brice looked to me more to do the talking for him.
How old was he at the time?
Probably 14.
I want to go back to talk about one of the other boys that you raised. You raised 3 boys during,
Yes.
3 or 4.
Yes.
During the same period of time.
Yes.
Was Brice the only one who had struggles at school?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. And that was the reason why. So Chandler was the other. He and Brice are a year apart, and they're both Sean's children. And he was struggling and having some outbursts in school, just as Brice was struggling. And that was one of the reasons why Sean and I wanted them to come and live with us. We were moving towards, you know, we were more serious. I had recently graduated from college. We had, you know, we were trying to create stability. We wanted the boys together. And so we brought Chandler. Yeah, so Chandler came to live with us too.
Were you able to help Chandler find success or find support in school?
Yes, we were able to create that stability that we wanted, and, you know, that we wanted to create for him. And yeah, and Chandler stayed with us, and he moved with us. And yes, Chandler completed his PhD in June of he completed his PhD in June of this year. And he currently is an assistant professor of political science.
So what does this have to do with our
How do you feel
murderous
that
guy over
consistency
here?
impacted Chandler?
I feel like it impacted him positively, you know, and it I mean, his life trajectory was completely different. And he was able to thrive. He he worked on he was able to thrive in a, yeah, just remarkable way. He had success in elementary and middle and then high school. He graduated in the top 20 from his high school. He went on to one of the most prestigious colleges in the University of Chicago. He worked on Capitol Hill for a while after he graduated with his undergraduate degree. He went back and got his master's and his PhD, and he is currently an assistant professor at the University of Oregon.
What about Brice? You've told us that you tried to get him tested. What else did you do to try to help Brice?
So we went, when Brice came to stay with us in the third grade, I spoke about the meeting with Brice's mother, and I understood kind of, when I think back about it, because think back to it, I was really young, and so Sean, we were both really young. We were all, the parents in the situation were all very young, but I understood the importance of including his mother and respecting his mother.
This
and
is
validating
Brice's stepmother.
where she was, and that in that partnership, in trying to raise Brice, it was going to be really important that we had a good relationship. And so, I was aware of, it was just very guarded. We never knew where she lived. There was a lot of different phone numbers. She always had a lot of money, but no job that I was aware of, drove really nice cars. And so just, again, a lot of red flags for
implication is,
and then, Brice's behavior,
drug dealer, question mark,
hoe, scared,
question mark,
he
drug
often,
dealing
I did
hoe,
mention
question
before,
mark.
like when he would stay over, he often wanted to sleep in my bed at night. One night he fell asleep with a big gob of gum in his mouth and woke up and he had a lot of hair and had all this gum in his, we took a long time to get the gum out of the afro. But so again, it was just really important. I knew so that I needed to, that mom was in an abusive relationship. And so having, that conversation with her and, us getting on the same page. And so initially she agreed to allow him to come and live with us, and he stayed with us. And Sean and I weren't married. And so also too, I respected that I was not the wife in the situation. I was the girlfriend. And, so I respected those boundaries, and was very intentional about respecting those boundaries. And then we got married on January 1st of 2000. And I was at a place where I had been pushing Sean to get some kind of custody, to get something on paper because
she meant mother, not wife.
Because I felt like
she's not a homewrecker after all.
Shauna, Brice's mother, with her lifestyle, was sabotaging our ability to provide the stability in his life that we wanted and we needed to have. We didn't have phone numbers. We didn't know where Brice was when she would take him on the weekend. Sometimes she would take him to school on Monday. Sometimes she wouldn't. He would be late to school from time to time. And so after we got married, I began to push more. And I began to exert more. We have to do something, we need to go to court. You need to get some kind of something on paper so you have more rights in Brice's life. And when I started to do that, that created friction and tension between Shauna and I, and she tried to come and get Brice. And so we had talked with an attorney, we were seeking custody, seeking some kind of, and so it was led into a weekend where we kept Brice until we could get to court. And on that Monday morning, the school called me, the secretary, because again, I was very involved, and the secretary called me and said, Anna, there's a woman here saying that she is, Brice's mother, and she's trying to take him out of school. And she said, and if you bring Brice to school, she's going to be able to sign him out. And so we had all this stuff going on, and so I we decided to keep Brice. She said, just if you don't bring him, then she can't get him. So I kept Brice at home, and it was a very emotional situation. It was a very emotional. Brice's mother and grandmother came over, and Brice was, in the house, and he was crying, and they were banging on the doors and the windows, and come out here, Brice, come out here. And I, explained to Brice, this is, we're trying to protect you. We need to know where you're at on the weekends. We need to have phone numbers and addresses. And I said, I'm so sorry this is happening. And I said, but you tell me, what do you want, Brice? What do you want? And he said, I just want to be with you guys. I just want to stay with you guys. And I said, well, we're going to fight to keep you here. And I'm sorry you have to go through that. But he hid in that bedroom, and he wouldn't go out. And his mom and grandma were saying, come out, Brice, get out here, get out here. And but that was the hardest memory. I remember I couldn't protect him. So I protected him in that moment, but then just as soon as he went back to school, she came and got him, and we went to court, and we didn't get, it wasn't favorable for us. And after that, Shauna enrolled him at a different school, and we weren't able to have the same level of contact with him that we had.
And he
been
murdered
before,
people.
that we were able to before.
Was there anything else that was different after the custody battle?
Yeah, so Brice was different. He was different. Our interactions and our connections, we've always been connected. We are still connected. I love Brice forever.
No emotion
but
whatsoever.
His guardedness, he was more guarded. It was just like we started all over again.
Was that how Brice was the first time you met him?
So that was
No
Brice,
doubt.
how Brice was kind of, he was always, kind of guarded in the beginning. And it took a while, like I said, to develop that trust and that connection. And I was very intentional. It was really important for me. And then too, like, I was just hopeful, I was young and optimistic. And I think I loved the boys before I loved Sean. I loved his boys.
I was like, wait, what?
I'm gonna pause for just one moment. Can I see the attorneys?
All right. Why are we pausing? I don't understand any of this. I mean, honest to God, I know this is the third time I've said I don't get this. The defense is saying he was this poor, disadvantaged child that had his shitty upbringing, and all she's done is talk about what a great upbringing he had. I don't get it.
Very difficult memory of the custody battle. Are there any other difficult memories that you have of Brice that you'd like to share with us?
Yes. So we always would do whatever, and we were clear with Shauna. We would always do whatever we could to help stabilize Brice's life and his situation. We knew, and again, I still don't know all the details. I don't know all the details of what Shauna and was involved in. But I know there was trauma. I know there was abuse. I know, but it took a while, and Brice was getting into trouble, and Shauna called Sean and said, I need Brice to come and stay with you all. Is that, and we talked about it and said, absolutely, he can come and stay with us. That's when he was in middle school, and he came, and he stayed with us. And that was, when the job and, trying, and Chandler was there. And so, Chandler worked, really wanted him to be there, and really, loved that he was going to school with them, and Credence. And But it was hard for Brice to acclimate. It was hard for you know, and it was different. They were older, you know, and Brice had done some things and got in trouble, and he was really mad at Sean, and there kind of how the whole situation ended is that Brice hurt himself. He did some self-injury. You know, I don't know exactly what it was, but he had marks on his face, and called the cops and said it was Sean, and you know, and they took him to the Eskenazi, which was, you know, the local hospital, and we had to go through all that, and then go to get him, you know, and when they realized, you know, that it wasn't, that, you know, there wasn't any kind of abuse or anything going on, and we went to the hospital, and to get Brice, and when I got there, he was
Yeah, never mind. I didn't say
in the
anything
hospital
important.
bed, and I was still like frustrated and just all kinds of emotions. And I remember, and Brice never disrespected me. That was one thing throughout he was goofy and he wouldn't always follow directions and things, but we had a very loving relationship. We still have a loving relationship. And so I don't remember my exact words, but I said, you know, something like, what, Brice, what is, you know, going on? And he looked at me and he said, get out of my face. And it was just like a whole different, you know, I'd never seen that in him. He sounded different, and it was, yeah. So it was, that was, I mean, I can still hear his voice in my head saying that. And I remember it was scary. It was I was hurtful. It made me sad. It was just, there was, yeah.
It's kind of his name. What's she supposed to
that was a
call him?
hard, and it's a difficult memory. And decided after that, you know, Brice wanted to go back to his mother's. He wanted to come back to Jeffersonville. And we arranged that. I took him back down to his mom's, and it's a pretty quiet ride back down there. It was a pretty quiet ride back to his mom's. And when he was getting out, his mom came to the window. I was talking to her, and he looked at me and he said, I love you. And I said, I love you too, Brice.
Then he said, get out of
How
my
did you
face.
feel when Brice said he loved you after all of that?
I mean, I felt like a mom feels when they're, you know, going through a really hard situation with their child, when they look at you and they say, you know, I love you. I mean, there were still all the emotions, because we were still dealing with a lot of stuff, not knowing, you know, like what the next steps were and things. But I felt love for him too. And I felt concern, and I felt just, you know, I always wanted to help him. I always wanted to do whatever I could. But again, kind of that helpless feeling that I had felt like that was,
Good question.
you know,
I think real mom.
Throughout our relationship, is that my hands were tied a whole lot in helping Brice, and that was always hard for me.
If Brice is given an opportunity for parole, what would you like your role to be in his life?
I'll be dead by the time that happens, but in theory, here's my
So,
plan.
I would like to still always have a relationship with Brice. I feel like, you know, ongoing mental health support is really important for him. Ultimately, that's his choice, you know, what he follows through with, you know, but, you know, I've been in the mental health field for 28 years, and, you know, I have a lot of resources. And so I would, like to encourage that. I can see that I would, if in that relationship, that would be something that I would encourage. And, and Brice, like I said, I'm his son's Nina, is what he calls me, Nina. So, I play that, I would continue to play that active role in being the grandmother and, and yeah.
Thank you. I have no more questions.
Any questions? All right, you're free to step down. Thank you.
Wow.
Does the defense have any other witnesses to call today? Okay. If you want to come up, I'll just double check with you before we let the jury go.
Well, looks like we're wrapping up here. We'll talk after they let the jury go. We'll talk for a little bit. Brice should not be allowed to reproduce. Too late. He's got a son.
All right, ladies and
apparently.
gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and break. We think tomorrow will be the last day that you'll need to be here likely. But we're going to start up at 9 o'clock tomorrow so we can try to, not have you here late if at all possible. So we will ask you to be outside the courtroom doors tomorrow morning, no later than 9. In the meantime, you are
9.
still under the admonition of not discussing, researching, or posting about the case. We'll see you tomorrow.
All rise for the jury.
All right, we'll wait for the jury to leave. Man, I just want to like throw some pencils and stick them in that ceiling. It's taking me back to my childhood days. Extreme close up of the ceiling tile. Fade to black. Well, not really a fade, just kind of a cut to black. Well, that's good. Rebecca Glasgow says, "Hey Jeffrey, watch the Rittenhouse trial. Is the DA's office in Kenosha County just horrible or what?" Kyle and Zach. Yeah, no, it's horrible. The prosecutor in Zachariah Anderson's case was Binger's boss. So he trained Binger how to be a shitbag. And the judge is shit too. I don't care what anybody says. Kyle Rittenhouse did not prevail because the judge was a great guy. It was despite the judge that he prevailed in that case. Anyway, different case. Law and crime. Is there any reason we cut to black here? Or are you saying there's nothing left to do here in the court? Are we done? Let's see. Bring old Sparky back from the dead. I'll read the comments here. What do you got to? This video says sentencing phase, and that's what this is. It lasts 2 days. The defense phase probably didn't have much influence with the jury selection because this is all too late. What? God, people, you guys are smart. Seriously, by and large, I have a very, very intelligent. Oh, shut up, bye, Franz. You guys are by and large intelligent. Me speak good. Okay. Oh, all right. We'll just assume they're done with their stream. You guys are by and large intelligent. You read through Law and Crime's chat. Where was the sentencing? You just get dumber. What time tomorrow? Oh, like when they said 9 a.m., I think they meant 9 a.m. The judge doesn't like to work much, lol. Mouthy mammogram. Jeez, people. Oh, here we go. University 6 bringing the truth. Brice is his real mother's son. Really? Is that how that works? Is that how that works? You don't, all right. Well, we'll just bring this out of the way in case something happens to come back. The stream is still going. So, all right, we'll leave it there for now. If they come back, we'll switch over. If not, we'll just wrap it up. All right, this is the 4th time I'm saying this. I do not understand what just happened. Get some stash out of the way here. Need some stash care. All right. Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. It was a bad combination. Well, hang on. We gotta talk. All right. I just got a chat thing going on there. I highlighted something that's just totally up to me. Anyway, the opening statement by the defense was about 3 seconds of he's a human being, he's a person, he has people that love him, and then he's a retard. It was literally what he said, and then it was like how the system failed him. He had a terrible childhood. He had a difficult childhood. Everything was really bad, and it was a struggle for him. Nobody loved him, and it was terrible. And you don't have to you can take that into consideration, that he had this horrific child upbringing, and things were so bad, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they spent their entire witness talking about what a great childhood he had with this wonderful. I get it. That was the part where they were trying to show that he's a human being. He's a person just like the rest of us, and he has all of these things going. But it was weird. It was a weird juxtaposition to he had this shitty life that nobody loved.
Because if you think someone's in stress and they have a
All right, what was
medical
this?
emergency to use in trouble.
All right, they pulled up another trial there. So, all right, I guess they're done for the day. Yeah, so it's just this weird juxtaposition. And speaking of weird juxtapositions, we're gonna do this. Right, there we go. It just didn't match what he said. We have this horrible thing. Now here's all the great things. We went on all these trips. Here's his loving family. They're hanging out together. Everybody loves everybody. Everybody gets along. I loved him like a son. He loved me like a mom. He told me he loved me. I told him he loved him. And it was weird. It didn't match. So I guess tomorrow is probably going to be all about this. This is a strawberry apparently trying to eat the vapors coming off there's a humidifier over here where she's looking at the vapors and trying to bite them. But anyway, yeah, it was weird. So I assume tomorrow is just going to be the what a retard he is. They're going to bring on their expert witnesses to say he's developmentally delayed. He has all these problems. So please forgive him because he's a human and he has problems. Whiskey 77, thank you so much. So on days I'm feeling stupid, I read Law and Crime Chat and start to think I'm a genius. Yeah, don't let it go to your head. You can get a little bit of a megalomania going there. I think that's about it. I think we're kind of done until 9 a.m. tomorrow, which is 9 a.m. Eastern, would be 11. That's our normal start time. 11 p.m. Korea time, 1 p.m. UK time, and 3 a.m. if you happen to be in Canberra. So, I mean p.m. Yeah, 3 a.m. Wait, 1 a.m. 1 a.m. Canberra, 11 p.m. Korea, 1 p.m. UK, 9 a.m. Eastern time, US. That's where we're going to be coming back to tomorrow. Our last thing, choosy heretics choose Carnation Revolution. Now, Jeff, I ended up switching out the saddle on my Brosman baritone. They had overcut the slots. Huh. You have a interesting. That's kind of cool. Baritones are awesome, but that's my actually that is actually my Bob Brosman guitar over there in the corner. So that's my Bob Brosman Tricone National Resonator guitar. All righty, folks. I think we're gonna wrap this up. Nothing else really to talk about. You guys have anything you want to say? Now is your chance to say whatever it is you want to say here. Otherwise, it's 6 a.m. I can get another hour of sleep in before work. Sweet. if you ever get a chance, check out the new Iberia, Louisiana. Stay unsick. Yeah, hey, I'm glad to have my voice completely back. See you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Well, yeah, Vicky, that's so very, very nice of you. Thank you so much for saying that. The Utah Raptor needs some sleep. Yeah. No, actually, again, I got a ton of sleep before here. I'm just like looking into some extra sleep. Yeah, I got home from work, fed the dogs, played with the dogs a bit, then we all piled onto the bed and slept soundly for many, many hours. I'm feeling perfectly, wonderfully great. Uh-oh, Wooksy, where are you? Wooksy said, "Hey Jeff, I turned in really late and just got here, but I always love to see you." We'll go back and watch it. You can see our witty banter on replay. We our little witty repartee here, and a super special thanks to Sebastian Muller for gifting 50 Legal Vices memberships. That was ridiculously generous. And everybody that got one of those, give him a super special thanks if you haven't already done so. That was way above and beyond. So we have 337 of you here, 391 likes. How did the jury poll turn out? It was, are you satisfied with the verdict of guilty on all counts? 68% of you said, yeah, had it coming. 25% of you said, not great, but I can accept it, which that's kind of the camp where I'm at. 3% of you said, I disagree. I think he's innocent. And 4% said this is a travesty. Right. Don't go. We need to make fun of this more. Hey, we're coming back tomorrow. What sentence do I think he'll get? I think he'll get life without parole. I think he's going down hard for chopping, for like stabbing 2 kids to death. I mean, the other guys, that's a foregone conclusion, but stabbing 2 kids to get to death and then torching their bodies, that gets you life without parole. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. All right. Well, let me see if I can squeeze in another hour sleep before I have to get up and get out of here. It is 5:43 a.m. in dark and cold South Korea. So we'll see you here all at 9 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. UK, 11 p.m. my time, and 1 a.m. Canberra time. So, all right, everybody. Thanks. Thank you so much for all the support from everybody today. Thank you, chat, for being the greatest chat ever. Thank you so much for the mods, for being mods. And everybody, mods, by the way, Friday evening U.S. time, probably around 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern time U.S. We'll be running our annual Moddy Christmas, a very Moddy Christmas where all the mods that want to come on camera and hang out with you guys for a couple of hours can do so. We'll probably do it that time because Danny on Direct is doing her year anniversary stream, and I've committed to being there, so we'll probably do the very Moddy Christmas right before that, and then we'll dump into her, and then we'll celebrate. So keep that. I'll send you mods an email or a link, and so everybody can get that out as widely as possible to all the other mods. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. I'm looking here where we can go and what we can do as we send you on your merry little way. Give me a quick second here to go to the studio. Go to the content live. This stream. Customization, redirect, and looks kind of like everybody's preparing to stream. There's like 2 dozen upcoming streams, but doesn't seem like anybody's streaming right at the moment that we can dump into. So, all right, everybody, you are on your own. We will see you tomorrow. Until then, take care. Whoever you are with, whatever you do with them, and however good it feels, just make sure it's legal. Always, always enjoy your legal vices. Law Rack saying peace out.